Oh, cool. Okay, so you can see that right now I have a 1440, a 720, a 180, a 45, 12, and a 3-minute. These are just my typical time frames that I trade on any market. Over to the right of that, I have a meter window that only has currencies in it. And then I have a meter window that has the indices and a couple of the currencies. So this one I set up for everybody this weekend. If you want it, you just email me. If you have the indicators, I'll send it to you. Okay. And one of the things I like about the meter is it allows us to monitor multiple time frames. Not multiple time frames, I'm sorry, multiple symbols. Okay. So in this case, I can see what the dollar is doing. I can see what the Aussie's doing, the British pound, the euro, the yen, the Swiss franc, the Canadian, and the New Zealand dollar. Now, the New Zealand and the Canadian do move a lot slower than a lot of the other currencies. So if I was using the meter on those currencies, I'd probably bump it up a time frame. Okay? Does everybody understand that? And that's just because they move slower, so you can't trade a 3-minute chart on a market that's moving really slow. And when you bring it up, you'll see gaps all over it. So if you're using this to trade currencies, whether it's currencies futures or the spot side, for example, let's say that I wanted to go long on the euro, okay? I would want to see the euro, which is the red line in this first window, moving up, and I would want to see the dollar moving down. Does everybody understand that? Or for example, and this is a great example from this morning, and this trade was worth, I think it was around 28 pips. Okay, you see that the euro is going up, the yen is coming down. That is perfect alignment to actually take a long trade on the euro yen. That's exactly what you want to happen. You want the euro with strength and you want the yen with weakness. Do y'all understand that? Then you can go down, of course, to a 3-minute chart and say, okay, here's my entry point, and it's always going to be at either a congestion dot or an ATR. It's the only two entries that I take. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so this morning on the blog and the intraday trading tips, I said that I actually expected gold to go up. And I also said that I had seen divergence, okay? Now, the RSI indicator and the ADX both will plot divergence as long as it doesn't change colors on you, okay? I'm sorry, I was reading a question. Looking at the euro yen, the actual RSI is not critical. What do you mean, Larry? As far as the chart, to do it on the chart, and this is why I don't use the RSI on my chart. That's why I designed the meter. You would have to have a picture of the yen up and a picture or a chart of the euro up, and then you would have to make that connection yourself. Okay, the yen is moving down, the euro is moving up. Do you understand, Larry? Whereas in the meter window, I have all of my currencies on that time frame. And you can put these on any time frame. I use a 45-minute, but that doesn't mean you can't do it on a 180 or on a daily or on a weekly or a monthly. Does that answer your question, Larry? And it also gives me more real estate for my volume and my ADX. Now, this morning when I was talking about the gold and I thought we would get the magenta peak on gold, you see that we've made lower lows here, right? Now I'm going to stretch this meter window out for a moment. The yellow line is gold, correct? So I know that, oops, wrong one. Now, I know I just made a new low over here, right? The chart shows me that. But look over here. Did you make a new low? No. That's divergence, okay? And I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it this color and set it as a default so we always see it. So we have divergence over here and we have divergence over here, okay? Now, because I could notice this right off the bat, I mean, I'm making new lows. I should be making new lows in the meter window as well, right? I'm not. All right, look down at the ADX. Are you making new highs? Remember, the ADX is a non-directional indicator. Are you making new highs? No, you are not. That tells me there is weakness in here, and then if you look up to the 180, you've got exactly the same scenario. You're making new lows, and you are not making new lows in the ADX, and you're probably not doing it on the RSI either. Do y'all understand that? Does anybody have any questions on that? And that's just letting the higher time frames dictate what direction we're going in, okay? Now, what would I do? I would wait for this to come back and test this ATR on the 3-minute chart and then look for an entry there. Everybody understand that? All right, let's go over and look at the ES. Now, I've been trading the ES a lot because I'm doing the binaries, okay, and I'm doing the spreads. And the ES really, really is exceptional on the binaries and on the spreads, okay. Now, this morning, and I posted this like 7 o'clock this morning, I said I expected the ES to go down. Number one, everything is moving down over here in the meter window, okay? It would need to flip this ATR. I anticipate this coming in. Even though it's not plotted on the 720, I know that magenta peak is there because the line in the sand would have been around 1919. Do y'all understand that? Now, because we knew where it was going, we had a lot of different trading opportunities, okay? We could have done the binaries on this. You know, we could have done ones that ended at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, either one. We could have done spreads. We could have done a combination of the two. Or we could have went in and traded the actual future contract, one of those, okay? Now, because the market just opened, we would be waiting for a magenta peak to form, and you do have divergence. So this is going to probably form a magenta peak on the 3-minute. It's going to come back to the ATR. It's going to test that on diverging buy-in volume, and that's going to give you another entry into the downtrend. Does everybody understand that one? All right, what else do we have today? Well, I think we might get a move in the Aussie. I would be waiting for the dollar to see if it starts down again. Right now, it looks like it may actually start back up. If it does, I would not look at a trade on the Aussie. If the Aussie does start up, you do have the potential of the yen coming down, okay? To me, that would be a short-term, very short-term trade because 50 is, the negative 50 line is right down here, okay? So you don't have a long way for that market to become oversold again. Does everybody understand that? And then if you do make new lows in the yen, you want to make sure that it's not on divergence because the divergence will signal a weakness in that trend, okay? Now, the other one you could actually look at today also would be the British pound, the euro, or the Swiss franc against the dollar, okay? The euro, this is what we're waiting on because you can see these are flatlining right now. But if they start up and the dollar starts down, then you would look at a long on the euro, you would look at a long on the GBP US dollar, but you would be short on the USD Swiss franc. Why would you be short? Because the USD is the first in the pair, okay? Does everybody understand that? I did post a video this morning on, reading, okay, would I be going long or would I be going short when we're reading the meter window, okay? The first symbol, if it's a euro, you would be looking for the euro to be going up and the dollar to be coming down. Or if you were doing the yen, you would want the euro, and it's, a perfect example right here, euro going up, yen coming down, okay? That's exactly what you want. And remember, it does not take a lot to get profits from these movements because you're trading a 3-minute, but you're going into a 45-minute. Does everybody understand that so far? And if I'm talking too fast, I do apologize. I'm just so excited over the markets this morning. And by the way, before I forget it, starting next week, we're going to have these sessions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Most of them I will record and I will put up on the THD blog so you can review them, just in case you don't get up at 8 o'clock in the morning because you live over in Hawaii and it's just too early for you to get up. Now, I want to show you my other screen real quick because I've started doing this only because I'm trading the binaries a lot. Does everybody see my new screen? Now, when I'm trading the binaries, because I put in my profit target and I already know what my risk is, typically I'm in anywhere from 5 to 10 trades at a time, and some of them will be bull spreads, some of them will be binary, some of them will expire in an hour, some of them will expire in 2 hours, and others will expire at the end of the day, just depending on what I'm doing. So now that I know, and I have over on the right hand screen, which is the screen that y'all saw before, over there I have all of my time frames, and I already know, okay, I'm probably going to be going short on the ES, or I'm probably going to be going long on the gold. Then I just have all of my 3-minute charts here. So that way, if I'm trading binaries, I'll put the level where I entered the binary. If it's a blue line, then I know it has to close above this line. If it is a red line, it needs to close below this red line. If it is a spread, I'll have both the ceiling and the floor on my chart. Does everybody understand that? But this way, it allows me to keep up with all the markets. And if I said, okay, I don't want to trade the Aussie, so let's go look at the Euro, I can just change it right here on the screen. Okay, and then I'll start marking it up, of course. So this gives me a snapshot of all of my trades and where I'm at in my trades, whereas the other screen gives me the overview of the day and gives me the meters. So at any glance, I can say, okay, this is moving here, this is moving there. Now, some of you may have noticed on the blog this morning, I didn't write anything on the Dow, and it's because out of all the markets today, I probably wouldn't be interested in trading the Dow. You also noticed that when I wrote the blog this morning, I was talking about crude, and there was a potential for a zero line reject right here. Do you see how crude came straight down? There was no zero line reject. that shows me that that was a strong move in crude. Do y'all understand that? Now it's right back at the ATR over here. It's at the congestion dot over here. Okay. If you're looking to say, okay, here was a low and here was a low, you see that you're definitely making new lows over on the meter window. So I don't think you're going to have divergence there. Understand? So that's not one I would say, oh, this trend is really weakening over here on the 45-minute. No, I don't think it is. Look at your volume. Could it actually retrace back to the ATR? Sure, it could. But is the trend weak? No. Now, some of you may wonder, well, I trade options, so how can I put this to use in options? Okay, if you're doing the currencies, just do the ETFs for the currencies. I prefer to actually do the binaries over the options. And one reason is because I am a big addict to intraday trading. I love trading intraday. It's my favorite thing. All right. Let's. Any markets y'all want to look at on the futures or the forex side? If there's a market you want to look at, let me know real quick and we'll look at it. Gold right now is coming back and it is testing the ATR right here. Okay, so this tells me, okay, is there anything in the way of my trade? And this is where I say, okay, let's go look at gold real quick. Now, what's in the way of taking a trade on gold right now? Is there anything in the way of a good trade? There's the ATR on the 45-minute that's in the way. There's also an ATR up here on the 12-minute that is in the way. Does that mean I absolutely cannot take a trade? That depends on you, okay? Could you still take the trade? Yes, knowing, okay, that you may need to just take one profit target on that because you're probably not going to get more than that until the ATR is flipped. I have not covered the forum information yet. Your NASDAQ 180 has not flipped the ATR? Let me go and look. It could be a difference in data, Stoker. Yeah, see, mine did. It closed right at that ATR, one tick below it. That's all it takes. And usually, Stoker, that's when you get into my ATR flipped and your ATR didn't flip. There's maybe one or two tick difference in the closes, and that's what causes that. Okay, again, over on the ES, do you see how this is retracing back to the ATR? Number one, I want to see gray in this price bar or within 5 ticks of the ATR. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is just switch over real quick here and say, okay, is there anything that's going to get in the way of me taking a profit target here? Okay, ATR is not in the way over here. ATR is not in the way over here. It is up here. Okay, so I would want to see it where it is below this ATR, telling me, okay, we are going to flip this ATR. Right now it's not. Now, you could do a binary on that. if you got it for a low risk trade, you could do a binary on that that expires in 1 or 2 hours. With the binaries, you do not have to have the precision that you need in other markets. Another one that might be popping off is crude. Do you see how this is at the ATR? Not the ATR, the congestion dot. It's got diverging volume on it. Again, switch over real quick. Look to see, is there anything in the way of me taking this trade? Okay, so we're looking to go short, right? You're almost at 70 on the 12 minute. If that magenta peak comes in, what's going to happen on the 3 minute? You're going to get stopped out. Now on the binaries, for example, if you went in the money on a binary right here, you'd be risking about $50, okay? But if you come down some, you're probably risking about $10. So that might be a better trade. I mean, for 10 bucks, I'm going to trade it, okay? I'm just telling you, I'm going to trade it. 10 or $20, I'm in that trade. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. What did we see on the NASDAQ? Let me go back and look at it. Oh, wrong one. I said, wait a minute, that's not the right price. I did it again. Maybe we can get the right one up here. You don't have any divergence on this on the limit orders? See, this is one I would have been interested in an actual spread on this one, and I would have entered that where it had all day to move down. And I'll be showing a lot more of those at the Kickstart Your Trading webinar in 2 weeks. The Canadian's been moving down nicely, but it's not one that I want right now. I really wish the dollar would start moving down or the yen moving up. That would be ideal. Some of you were asking about the forum this morning, and I did say I would go over it. We do have a new forum. I've been working on it for a couple of weeks now. So if you go over to the left-hand side, make sure you're already logged into the blog because that's what gets you in the forum, okay? So if once you're logged in, come over here to the forum, and then you can see that we've got quite a few forums here. We've got one just for annual members. If you're an annual member, you should be able to see all of that. If not, just email me and I'll make sure that I correct it. And then if you've ever purchased the THD tools and you are a member of the forum, then you're already in the THD member section as well. Now, each of these has questions for Gail topic, okay? And I wanted to post them here only because I believe that all of us can learn together, okay? In this way, if you post the question and you can post your pictures as well, then immediately, you know, everybody gets to learn about that topic. Lara, you want to know how do you look at the most recent post like today? It's right here. you should have one up here that says View New Post, and that should actually get you into the post. Now, if you do not own the THD tools, we do have general questions here, and I've got videos and just where I answer general questions about the THD tools and methodology. Then the annual members can view any of this, and just if you have purchased like the gold or silver but you are not an annual member, then of course I've already put all of these topics up, and some of them have videos because I can load videos and charts and everything up. And again, as long as you're signed into the blog, then you can just click on the forum and it will go directly there. Now, we do have chat available, so like you could send me an instant message and I could instant message you as well, okay? Under your profile, and I can't go into it because I'm administrator and I'm going to have different options and it'll just confuse you. I'll try tomorrow morning to set up one that like has just a THD basic membership and show you what it's like. But you can go into your profile and set it where other people do not see you online or they cannot instant message you. I just left it all up to y'all. If y'all want to do it, then feel free to do it. And the reason I did that is because, you know, a lot of traders get really lonely trading, so this way you can trade and chat with other traders that are using your methodology. All right, any questions about that, guys? And I know I get a lot of emails, and you send me your charts, and, you know, I always answer you. That's my job. But if we could learn to post them on the forum, then I think that makes it a double learning experience, because chances are if you have the questions, so does someone else. And I want everybody to be able to view that topic and see what the answer was. Because a lot of times we just don't want to ask the question because we might feel like, well, we might be stupid here or something. But there are no stupid questions, really. So any other questions on that, guys? Man, we're a quiet bunch this morning. Now see, this is where that magenta peak most likely will come in on that 12-minute. That's the reason I said, you know, this is not really the ideal trade setup because number one, you didn't have divergence. But number two, it's the 12-minute that would stop you out. Do y'all understand that? This is another one. You have that magenta peak come in. Now that's probably going to end up being a flat magenta peak, and I know that just from the bar formation. that means it may come back down and test 102.29. That's more experience with the tools than anything else, and it takes you time to learn that one. Um, did I Let's go over and see what the ES is doing again. I would still want this ATR here to be broken at this point of time, okay? Could you have taken a spread on this, knowing that the U.S. market usually is a volatile market opening? Of course. But we wouldn't open at 9:30. We didn't open until 10. Let's go over and look at the NASDAQ. See, now you're starting to get the euro moving up and the dollar is trying to come down. So you could either go over and look at the currency future, which is the 6E. The one thing that you have in the way is this ATR. There's only 10 ticks of difference between where price is now and that ATR. Or you could go look at the euro US dollar. The euro is the first symbol in the pair, so in other words, in this one you would want to be going long on the euro, okay? I would want to see the dollar coming down a little bit more. It's not quite there yet. Does everybody see that? The euro is trying to build up strength. The dollar, it looks like it's getting weak. I think it's a little too early for the trade. I would want to see it come down, test those congestion dots on the virgin selling volume. Then I would be interested in taking the trade. Now remember, on Forex, you're going to have to pay a pip spread. If you're trading the spot Forex, I'm doing it on the binary. So, and let me tell you, the Forex market is awesome on the binaries, as long as you're trading with Nadex anyway. The other one you could do would be the euro. The Swiss franc and potentially the dollar. You do the Swiss franc and the yen. Let's see, the British pound is up here. It's coming down right now, so you wouldn't want to trade it against the dollar. I'm not too enthusiastic about the Forex pair either. GBP, JPY. Now, I would like it if this starts turning down, guys. Then that's going to be the equivalent of a zero line reject, okay? And the yen starts heading upwards. I would probably do binaries and spreads on that. Do y'all understand that? I mean, there is so many different ways you can trade this, adding binaries to it. You could go in Well, you couldn't go in the future because they don't have one for the British pound yen. I guess you could short the British pound and go long on the yen, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't do it like that, but I guess you could, feasibly. On the ES, if you had done a spread on that one, the ES per point is worth 10 ticks on the binaries. So if you did a spread somewhere up here around 1920, I presume that they had one available, and it came down to 1914 per contract, that's 10 points. So basically you've made, what, $100 per contract? I use the spreads a lot when we have a market opening. The reason I do is because you can get some really low risk trades, I'm sorry. Having trouble completing sentences this morning, evidently. Now, the Russell is also moving down. I just don't trade the Russell very much because it doesn't move 24 hours a day. Doesn't have the volume to move it. Could you do it at the market opening? You had exactly the same pattern as you did on the ES, so yeah, you could. You had an ATR up above you on the 45-minute. You had an ATR above you on the 12-minute, and it flipped the ATR on the 3 minutes. The only thing I can tell you. Now, I do believe that they have these spreads available on the Russell, but like I said, I don't actively trade the Russell. I mean, most of the indices do move together. I didn't like the Dow today because it was not moving in alignment with the others. Okay? That's the reason I chose not to even write about it today. And for those of you that have the meter, I don't know if you know you can do this, but you can extend the window out and actually move this over here and just have the labels over to your right-hand side. It doesn't bother me to have the labels there, so. And again, I would really want to see this dollar starting to come down. You may get some really good trades once that starts to happen, but you've had good trades on the S&P 500 and on the Russell if you trade the Russell. I think you did on the NASDAQ, but let's go check. I would never go into the futures at the market opening, but I do it quite a bit on the binaries. It doesn't bother me. You actually want that volatility if you're in the binaries. And of course, if you're using the indicators, then it pretty much tells you where price should go. So if you can get these spreads and get them really cheap, then you've got a good trade on them. Do y'all understand now, looking at the 3-minute, why I said that's not my favorite trade? Number one, there wasn't divergence, but what was the other reason? The ADX on the 12-minute was going to stop you out. You see that the Swiss franc is moving up. Again, I would like the dollar to be moving down more, but if you wanted to trade a binary on that, do you see how this is at the congestion dots here? I would want it to come back to this ATR down here at 89.65, and I would want to see it done on diverging selling volume. Then I would take that trade, but I would do it on the binary side. If I was going to do it on the future side, I would go into the Swiss franc future contract. This is a Swiss franc future contract, and as you can see, it's going down right now. It should be going up, okay, because this is measured against the dollar, the Swiss franc being the first in the pair. You look over here, you see this white line is the Swiss franc. It is moving up, okay, so I would be going long on the Swiss franc. You did have an entry here, but you do not have an entry right now. Let's go back and see what gold is doing. This ATR right here at 1247.5 is creating a problem, and 1 point up above that you have this ATR. Both of those are creating issues. If you are going to go long on the gold, I would do it if it comes back to this line and you get a very, very low risk area. Otherwise, if you could get a spread over on Nadex, I could take a spread with the floor at around 1245 and limit your risk that way. If you enter the binary spreads before 8 o'clock, the only option is the 1:30 p.m. close for gold, okay? But if you wait until 8 o'clock, you can actually go in there on limit orders and get better prices. Looking over at the currency meter, which is the first meter window here, you see that the Canadian is, I think it's going to go below 49. If it does that, it will be oversold. Would I necessarily use a 45-minute on the Canadian? You could during the U.S. session. Typically, I will not, just because it moves slower. If the dollar resumes going back up on the 45-minute, remember that's the green line here, then you're going to want to probably go short on the British pound, but this line has to come down more. The euro would have to turn down, the Swiss franc would have to turn down, and the Aussie would have to turn down. So I don't think that's a good chance on the Aussie right now. Now remember, I am recording the presentation this morning, so if you want to go back and review it, you can. I'll post it on the blog later today. I think the Nasdaq's going to go back down. Now this is where a lot of people don't understand. I'll say the congestion dots is holding it down. Do you see how this was supposed to retrace back to this ATR? And it hasn't been able to do that because virtually no buyers came into the market. So this is where I say, okay, the congestion dot's holding it down. In other words, when they flipped this ATR, it should have come up here to the congestion dot. it was unable to. It didn't have enough conviction in that flip. So now it's coming back down. The only thing when you do this, make sure that as you're approaching this ATR here, make sure that your volume starts increasing, because increasing volume says, okay, they're probably going to flip the ATR. Do y'all understand that? And actually in a binary, that's enough to give you profit right there. Anytime they approach an ATR in order to flip it, then the volume should actually be going up, or in this case, because it's coming down, it should be taller volume bars as it's coming down. Now, if it touches that ATR, John, and it's doing it on decreasing volume, you want to go ahead, exit your trade, and find another entry point. And the one thing that I love about the binaries is you actually could have went in this one knowing that it should be below 3726.25 before 11 o'clock this morning. Okay, that's what you're saying in the binary. It will be less than 3726. Okay, so depending on what you got that for, if it expires at 11 o'clock and it is below that value, then you collect the premium. Now the other way is just to get 3 bars in your direction, and let me tell you, you got profit in the binaries. Just 3 bars, that's all you need. And normally if you're projecting it up here, that's out of the money, where here would be deep in the money. Okay. In some of these terms, when I do the Kickstart Your Trading webinar series, I'll go over those. Do you see how the volume is increasing, John? So you have a low here, low here, low here, and it's increasing. In other words, more sellers are coming into the market. That's what you want. That is exactly what you want to happen. Do you understand that now, John? And when I'm trading the binaries, I normally do not hold till expiration. As long as I make a profit, I'm happy, I exit. Don't see any others right now. I'm still expecting the dollar to come down. And when you look at the USD Swiss franc, remember the first pair is what you're looking at. So this is the US dollar, okay? And it looks like it may start to come down, okay? So you go over to the US dollar chart and you say, okay, the Swiss franc is going up, so I want to go short on the USD Swiss franc, okay? And it actually shows it over here a little bit better than over here because I've got the line a little bit thicker on this one. You could also use that same thing for the euro, not for the British pound. The British pound's not going in the right direction. But do you see how this has had the divergence there, guys? I would just want that to be coming down a little bit stronger. The stronger the slope, the stronger the movement is, basically. All right. Anybody have any questions? I want to go ahead and close the room because I'm going to go trade. Now, we are going to be having a Kickstarter trading webinar. It begins June 16th. It is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for 2 weeks from 1 to 4. And if you sign up before Saturday, I think you save like half price or just about half price. And of course, annual members get it free. What's included in your annual membership, which you paid for. So, any other questions? If not, I'm going to close the room so I can actually go trade.